Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
After Metro denied this man, Joshua Sanchez Lopez, a spot in the department's Alternatives to Incarceration program. Metro says Sanchez Lopez has a criminal history, including 35 arrests and visits to prison. After his most recent arrest earlier this year involving a stolen vehicle, Sanchez Lopez was back in Las Vegas Justice Court, where a judge set bail at $25,000, adding if Sanchez Lopez posted bond, he could get out of jail and essentially await trial on house arrest. But in the days afterward, Metro sent the court this letter saying Sanchez Lopez poses an unreasonable risk to public safety and will not be released. That risk, according to Metro, includes a past incident of evading officers. They point to these Snapchats of him with a gun, where he said he got, quote, chased again.
The safety of our officers is paramount. The safety of the public is key. And the key here is Sheriff McMahill will not violate the law to appease the Las Vegas Justice Court in letting out people that he deems to be dangerous.
But not dangerous enough for Judge Eric Goodman to order Sanchez Lopez's release to the program anyway, saying failure for the sheriff and Metro to do so could result in sanctions for contempt. When Metro said no, the court put him on their own pretrial release program.
Today is not the day.
Today was supposed to be the day Goodman heard arguments from Sanchez Lopez's public defenders and Metro lawyers about the release, though he continued the hearing, the issue bringing to head ongoing dialogue about bail and release in Southern Nevada, years in the making.
We have a system that's set up so that people can get out of jail quickly. And sometimes there just needs to be a little bit more thought given to it because lives are on the line.
Hi everyone, Patrick here in the chair. Hope you enjoyed that little news piece. But that is a everyday talking point all across America: is the releasing of violent criminal offenders back into our streets. And right here you have a sheriff taking a stand, and we're going to talk about that today. But before we get really going, let's bring Tommy on. I haven't seen Tommy in a little bit. Tommy, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, Pat? It's yeah, I feel like we've been in like the twilight zone of Untamed for the last month. I'm like an old psychotic dog. When my toy poodle was like 17, you know, everything, you can't mess up the routine at all or the dog just loses its mind. That's kind of how I am. I'm a psychotic poodle. I like the podcast when I know exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. In the last month of Joe going on campaigns and you hosting, I'm a dog. I'm like wetting the bed and like freaking out because I'm a creature of habit. So that's how I'm doing. I'm kidding. I'm doing.
Nah, dude, I get it, man. I completely understand.
How you doing?
Oh, you summed me up pretty good too. Keeping busy, yeah. You know, flexible. Especially with Joe running for governor, things change at a drop of a hat over here. So yeah, man, it's good to see you. I know we exchange messages very frequently, but I haven't seen your face in a little bit. Good to see you, man.
I do, on more days than not, I do send Pat the words Allah Akbar, and he's never quite sure how to respond.
I know how to respond. I take it with a smile, and yeah. I do want to show that picture off one day.
Ayatollah Hogarty.
Yeah, I want to get it out there. I was
proud of that one.
It was well done. It was well done.
I actually put a little time into that. I was gonna do a crappy Photoshop, and I was like, let's do this right.
What made you do it that way? What made you name it Ayatollah Hogarty?
I think it was right when they killed the Ayatollah, and so it was just in the news. If it had been 2 months ago, it would have been something about Maduro. And then I can't find that picture, but for everybody listening, there's a screen grab of Pat during like mid conversation, and you're like smiling. And as all screenshots do, they capture someone in the worst possible way. But it was you with this just evil grin, the ear to ear, and I wanted to take that and I wanted to make you the Ayatollah, but I couldn't find that. But I'd already got it in my head that I wanted to make you the Ayatollah, so I just grabbed a picture of you and made Ayatollah Hogarty.
I know
That's
what
the behind the
picture
scenes, by the way, for everybody.
I know what picture you're talking about. Someone has it. I know it exists.
I thought I had it, but I didn't.
Someone has it. I remember
this,
seeing
like-
it. I looked crazy. It was one of my
You
first.
looked like the Cheshire Cat.
I had the wide eyes, like I'm a lib losing my mind on one of those TikTok videos.
That was the least crazy part, though. It was the smile. It was like Joker smile. Yeah, it was like that. And it's, I mean, and, you know, people grab screen grabs all the time of me during the podcast. And I'm like, well, there's a trillion frames per episode. So I mean, you can grab anything you can make anybody look any way you want. So
yeah, and it's hard to reenact too. Nothing beats it just live and authentic off the top.
Yeah,
it just can't.
But that's Ayatollah Hogarty.
Yeah, Ayatollah Hogarty. I just don't want to be in charge over there. What's going on over there is just it's a bit much. It is a bit much what's going on in the world today.
Great. I think you'd do great.
Oh, you think I want to fly over there and just
is it really any different than what you're
Tehran?
Is it really any? I mean, aside from the fact that you know the United States would actively try to kill you, I don't think it's much different than what you've been doing for the last month. You're sitting in the chair, and you just run the show. And as long as you act confident, no one knows that any better.
That is true. That is true. I learned that early on when I was teaching. Like, if you just carry yourself with confidence and pretend like you know what you're doing, people don't question you.
Act like you've been there.
Yeah.
Act like you've been, dude. All the CIA special forces guys I talk to, like Dale, they'll always tell you, just carry a clipboard and don't ask anyone for anything, and they'll assume you have the authority.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You can, like, short of like walking into the White House, you can pretty much get anywhere.
You could flex that move anywhere. Yeah, I can see that.
Clipboard, like walkie-talkie around the hip, and just kind of almost look a little impatient.
Yeah, look pissed. Just look like pissed or busy. People will leave you alone most of the time.
They just think you're,
think you're important. This man, look at that guy. He's got so much shit going on. He just walk right on through.
At the White House, I think they would shoot you dead because they're aware of that. But
yeah, but you know, if that gets away, you can get away with that 70, 80% of the time. Other places, that's a good deal. Just what you're going to use it for.
I think it's probably like 95, 99.
I've never tried it, but I believe it. I believe it. If you walk with a pace and you walk with a look, most people will just let you be.
Ayatollah
Where you're going.
Ayatollah Hogarty.
Oh boy. I would prefer to stay here in America, though. I would not like to go over there. I kind of like my home base here. Even though my home base is a little crazy, I would prefer to stay here.
Very well. I'll allow it.
I appreciate that. So, we're in a battle every day, Tommy. That video right there, you have a sheriff telling a judge, this guy is too dangerous to let out on the street. And the judge is like, too bad, you need to let him out. Like, where are we going in society? How does all these play out? Because it's going on all over the place.
In my mind, we're hitting like, this is going to be a very clunky analogy. We're hitting like the emergency lock on an elevator, you know? And I don't know anything about elevators. But where eventually, like if it falls, I think elevators can only fall like 1 or 2 floors before. Well, they have all these emergency brakes. And then I think, and the idea is, and I know this because they're just putting an elevator in this building, you want to slow it down, obviously, and you don't want to do it abruptly. But I think if it falls more than like 2 floors, and it all happens very quickly, they stop trying the brakes, and then they just straight up, like, I don't know, like bolts come out. And you hit the bolt, and if you're inside the elevator, you're probably going to be injured. But it's better than falling, 30 floors. So, or like a car, you get the brake, and then you have the automatic braking system where, stops so it keeps skidding. But there is like a fallback plan where eventually if it doesn't stop and you do crash into something, there are crumple zones, there's an airbag, your seatbelt locks up. You don't want to go to that immediately. Every time you hit the brakes at a stoplight, you don't want an airbag, right? Because an airbag can still like break your nose and knock your teeth out. But it's there in case. And of course, I was just talking about this yesterday with 2 colonels and a general, General Blaine, Colonel Watkins, and Colonel Murray. That's kind of what we're sliding towards in their estimation. And we're at a point where it's like the slide's no longer stopping. It's just what's going to happen. And it's either that it's going to implode and burn down and the nation collapses, or we're going to hit that emergency lock. where the current administration goes, all right, this, military combat ineffective, government's compromised, all the systems have rotted through, and you're going to see some sweeping, executive orders and seizing of power, and they'll call Trump a tyrant, and I don't care. That will happen, or that's the airbag, or the airbag doesn't go off. Trump doesn't have the balls to do it, hands over power to the Democrats, and then we just hit the wall without an airbag. But the point is for the last decade at least, closer to like the last 50 years, we've been sliding and hitting the brakes and stuff. In the last, I don't know, I'd say from the time they tried to shoot Trump onwards, we're past the point of can we still rely on the brakes? And we all tried to stop it. We didn't want it to get to this point, but we're at a point now where it's like the brakes no longer work. Man, I hope the airbag works. So, and that's from these storied, these guys, these three yesterday, combined, they have 90 years experience in the military, 30 years apiece minimum. That's what they were saying. So this isn't my stupid, maybe this is what's happening. That's what and two of them are military logisticians, all about supply chain, chain of command, backups, backups to the backups, primary, auxiliary, contingency and emergency. That's kind of what they're saying. They feel confident that the airbag is going to go off and that we're going to see kind of sweeping consolidation of power by the Trump administration. I hope they're right. But that's kind of, so to boil it all back down, what are we seeing with this? This is what we're seeing is the quote, no one raindrop thinks it's responsible for the flood. What we're seeing now, the sheriff going, you cannot let this guy out, and the judge going, too bad. That is simply one raindrop that has been falling for 50 years. And although it's bullshit, that right there explains in a microcosm why we are where we are, is just the things like that. When you let the little things go, then it all starts to add up, right? There's a lot of logic to, make your bed, put the dishes away, fold the blankets. Because if you don't, over time it spirals and spirals and spirals and spirals to the things you've allowed to slip by get to a point where they're no longer little things like put on clean socks, and instead it's like, you haven't paid rent, or you haven't whatever, they repoed your car. And I think so the sheriff thing, that's a tiny little microcosmic example of what I believe to be the much bigger macro scale picture, that's why we are where we are. That's why you have people saying like, invoke the Insurrection Act, executive order for same-day voting, blah, 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 because it's just been this happening daily for half a century.
Yeah, and it goes back to the judiciary's rotted. We're compromised as a nation. We have an infiltration of actual ideologies on the bench, right? Like legitimately, judges believe that left-wing judges now believe it is better to let reoffending victims out onto the street than it is to protect the taxpaying American public. So when you have judges that are consistently making these decisions and re-releasing violent criminal offenders that have a high recidivism, they reoffend a lot. They have a high recidivism. There you go.
It gets me to recidivism.
And it's proven. It's proven. When you've been locked up 3 times, it doesn't stop, right? It goes to a 4th, it goes to a 5th, it goes to it's a never-ending process. And I feel ever since COVID in 2020, when they released the prisoners because of they wanted to keep people safe, right? They didn't want people getting COVID in prison. Remember, they just started letting the prisoners out in all these different states because the populations were too much in the prisons, and then they couldn't quarantine them, they couldn't spread them. So it started letting the floodgates out then in 2020. And then you had these different blue states start passing all these new laws that would give second chances to violent repeat criminal offenders, all at the expense of the American taxpayer. And you have judges that agree with all this and believe they're upholding law, or at least supporting what the purpose of the law is, which is to re-release violent criminal offenders at a second chance in society, when no one seems to care how it impacts the everyday American on the street and the store owner or the victim of the next crime. So, and the judges never really have to answer for any of this, because if they're in a blue state and they're appointed by the governor, the state legislature will never impeach them. So you have these, it's the revolving door of the criminal justice system. All in the while, someone like Tina Peters gets locked up for 9.5 years, non-violent criminal offender. So how do we balance our judicial, or do we literally say it's time to blow it up?
Well, it's the time to blow it up, because it's, again, we're past the sliding point.
Right.
It's now, for a long time, I think most people, myself included, were like, let's not blow it. Let's see if it can still be patched up. But that's what it is, right? And if it's very easy when something's like cut and clear, I don't know, like balancing a budget, or I don't know, inventory at, let's say, an Apple store, you know, iPhones don't go missing, right? Where you're doing budgeting for some corporation, money doesn't go missing. They're like, hey, count, even when I worked at a liquor store, it's, you know, count the register. It's, you know, pennies don't go missing. There's something abstract that we kind of don't balance or quantify, and that is releasing criminals, or even divorce rate, or, you know, whatever. We kind of don't balance that. Or, you know, drug abuse. If it's not on a spreadsheet, this person went to this rehab, or this divorce court happened, we kind of don't look at the effects of the very real things of, like, well, what happens when that criminal's out? What happens when even if they don't offend? What if they're just a crazy person walking around screaming? What if they do it around one store? What effect does it have on that store? Does their income go down? What effect does that income going down have on that family? What stresses does it put on them? Does it cause a marriage on the rocks to split? Now you have kids who their parents are divorced. What effect is that? How does that affect them growing? There are all these things that, when it's set in stone, a budget, inventory, whatever, we can track it perfectly. Or like a physics simulation, you can track every molecule. When it's something more abstract, the effects of this on human consciousness, we kind of throw our arms up and go, oh, the criminal's released. You can't prove it, you know, reduce sales at this store. But we all know it does. We've all been near, you see some crazy guy, you're like, I'll go to the next gas station. What effect does that have? What effect does it have? What effect does it have on, you know, people that were on the jury, where they're like, oh, this system's rotted? What effect does that have when they're talking to friends and family, like, yeah, it's all bullshit, just go do it and just say guilty or not, because it doesn't matter? What effect does all that have? That has very real effects, but because it's not necessarily measured in ounces or pennies or newtons of force, we kind of go, but we're seeing it. But what is the net effect? The fact that you have, you know, retired colonels and generals saying actively Trump needs to use the military on domestic soil. Like, very quickly, it goes from A to Z. So yeah. I think, to answer your question, I think you have to let it implode.
Yeah, I agree. There seems to be no off-ramp, and especially out here in Colorado, our judiciary follows this playbook. The re-releasing of violent criminal offenders onto the street, not cooperating with ICE for criminal illegal aliens to be deported, right? So you have these elements that are constantly on the streets, and they get into more crime, more criminal activities. And you see an exodus from Colorado. We have a big strip down the middle of Denver called 16th Street Mall. You could take a free bus ride up and down it, stores, restaurants. Over the past 5 years, businesses, restaurants, and stores have been closing and leaving because of the criminal element that has taken over 16th Street Mall. And the belief that in Colorado is you don't actively police either, right? So you take the police just doing patrols off those areas, and you kind of let those areas just fall by the wayside. And you have businesses that have boarded up, they have moved, they have lost product. You also, I know Plantier is not on 16th Street Mall, but you had Plantier, which was out here in Colorado for a short, I believe, 5 or 6 years. It was a quick stop from Palo Alto, came out to Denver.
Palantir?
Plantier, yeah.
I think it's a Palantir, the defense contractor.
Yes. I'm sorry, I
Sorry.
said Plantier, didn't I?
Yeah, no, you're good. I was like, what's Palantir? No, you're good. Keep going.
No, but they left 2 months ago. And
Well,
it
yeah.
has to do with the actual what goes on in the state, legislatively, tax-wise, criminal-wise. Like, these businesses make these decisions and their bottom line is affected. If they were making good money out here in Denver, they would put up with all the bullshit. But they're not making the money. Obviously, I guarantee they didn't feel safe where they were headquartered at. That's why they booked it down to Florida. And there will be, like you were talking about, well, what's the impact of all these criminal? Well, we can't quantify it. You're right. But here, this is a big impact. You're talking billions of dollars that are leaving the state that is used for revenue by our state house to give off these entitlements to all these criminals that get re-released into the street. It's an amazing thing to watch that their own policies are causing this.
And it's really only until it happens at that level that you finally do quantify it. You go, well, this huge corporation left that, their contracts are going through the roof, especially in the last, from 2022 forward with Ukraine, Gaza, and now Iran.
Yeah.
They're going through the roof. That is a massive thing. On smaller levels, you don't necessarily, so the cops stop patrolling, and then it turns into kind of, I think Chris Hedges, the author or kind of renowned war journalist, calls it sacrifice zones, right? That's what he calls Detroit. That didn't just happen. A bomb didn't go off and everyone left. That's not what happened. It happened it starts with they're not patrolling that area anymore. Well, why aren't they? Because the judge is letting out all these shithead criminals. So they just stop patrolling there. Because why am I even going to go there? Why am I going to waste limited resources, squad cars, officers? Businesses leave. They start boarding up. Other businesses, now their property value goes down because things around them are boarded up. They stop going, or they start putting up rails on everything. Yep. It very quickly starts to become seedy and shitty, and people leave. And then it's like anything, that adds up, and there's no point where like it's contained. It's not like it's not like modern ships where there are bulkhead compartments. That's what the Titanic was supposed to have. Didn't work. Where the flooding can remain like an aircraft
stays
carriers.
In one area. Stays in one.
I think the Titanic had like 20. I think the Titanic had like 20 compartments. Modern aircraft carrier has something like 10,000. Like it's so it locks in. You seal it in. That doesn't happen. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it starts as, let's use the ship analogy. What starts as just a hole, a little tiny thumb-sized hole. All of a sudden, it might take 24 hours, but then you notice some giant 16-floor, half-mile-long cruise ship is listing. And you're like, well, how did that happen? Well, it starts with a little thing that you don't address. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can go even further. You can go internationally. All right, so then who is coming and buying up? Well, you have all these foreign powers. You have China buying up. You have, where let's just use, all the penthouses in Manhattan. Those are all foreign nationals and
foreign owned, baby. Foreign
money.
Owned.
Okay, so now even something like New York, that is, for all of New York's flaws, it's still a super city, right? Well, now you have people that they want to stay. It's not even a criminal. They want to stay, but they're priced out because all these other countries are using it as money laundering to get out of their own country. Like there's an Indian oil magnate, Aneet Agrawal. I think he poisoned a river in Zambia. Like poisoned a river. They wanted to kill him. So he took all his money and bought like 5 penthouses in the Time Warner Center on Central Park. So my point is like, now it gets even bigger. Do you want to just keep walking it? And none of this is, and if somebody's listening going, you guys are being hysteric. No, it is the flooding. Well, what happens as long as it continues? Well, we know that China has bought farmland around our Air Force bases, not just any Air Force bases, where the B-2 stealth bomber is located. The stealth bomber that was used to hit Iran. I mean, it goes up to the highest levels because it's a flood. It's an unaddressed flood. So it starts with, I'm not going to put, the sheriff going, he's too dangerous, and the judge going, I don't care, love and acceptance and LGBT, whatever. You can draw a direct line to foreign powers owning land within line of sight of U.S. military assets. Like, that's not an exaggeration. That's not, the butterfly effect of, if I snap my fingers, then, 10 years from now, it leads to a country getting nuked. This is a direct effect. It's all, you can track it all.
And speaking of it spreading, right? It started out small here in America. I'm not talking about the Chinese buying farmland, but you're right with that. They have taken over a great deal amount of farmland. For what purpose, right? For what purpose? They need to feed their people, I'm sure.
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Weird. They only want that farmland around. Most people don't want to be near airfields because of the noise pollution. Why do they want to? Oh.
Yeah. The simplest solution tends to be the most correct all the time, right?
Yeah.
Occam's razor, right? Isn't that that one? The simplest solution tends to be the correct one. I'm glad you brought up New York, though, because Mamdani's doing work over there spreading his communist propaganda. But we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But they just re-released criminal illegal aliens that threw Molotov cocktails in New York City. Play this cut, Damon, A3.
Just this week, some Salvadorian nationals were arrested in Suffolk County with Molotov cocktails. They're in the United States illegally, but unfortunately what the DA can charge those individuals with is not a bail-eligible offense. Those people were not only required to be released, but because of the Protect Our Courts Act, also cannot be turned over to federal agents at the courthouse. So if that's this system working as intended, we have a real problem on our hands. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So yeah, Suffolk County is on the tail end of Long Island, primarily Republican, but they still have their hands tied, where these 3 criminal illegal aliens basically just got released out of jail. They didn't have the ICE detainer, didn't have to because of the law that was passed, and the DA chose not to press charges.
You're illegally throwing Molotov cocktails. But again,
here we are.
So that is the whole, you and Pat are saying that a boarded up CVS in Colorado leads to the Chinese spying on the stealth bomber. Take that clip we just looked at. How did we get here?
Right.
Did that just happen one day? Do you think that would happen under the watch of Thomas Jefferson? Do you think that would have happened under Eisenhower?
No.
Do you think that would have happened under H.W. Bush, Clinton? No. Okay. No. But how did we just get that title? Which is one of the ones where you do the double. I have a big TV behind me where I play video games at night, and every once in a while you get these little. It's Microsoft, so it's all bullshit. You get these unwanted news notifications that I never care. I don't care. I'm playing a video game, but every once in a while, because you see it the first 3 letters, it's so it grabs your eye and you look at it, you go, what? It's not just like, well, Trump did this. It's normally something big. It's like Ayatollah dead, and you're like, oh, we're at war with Iran. Okay. That's one of those things that you go, hold on, what? Illegal El Salvadorian immigrants who can't be handed over to federal assets were re-released for throwing Molotov cocktails. Not even assault,
from there, brother?
Not a simple assault, not a fist, not robbery. Throwing, not even a gun. At least a gun, you could shoot someone and you take something. You can kind of understand. You go, okay, it's evil and illegal, but Molotov cocktail. What? Yeah. How do you get to that sentence to where, and to go one step further, the fact that you showed that to me 20 years ago, I think I would go, yeah, I need a source for that. The fact that no part of me, for all I know, that could be fake. That could be AI, what you just showed me. But it's so common that I don't even bat an eye at it because I go, yeah, it's probably true.
All true, not AI.
How do you get to there? Where does it start? You have to trace it back and go, because it didn't just happen. If this was the 1950s, those 3 kids would have been strung up, hung, and lit on fire themselves.
Correct.
But now it's just a blip in the news. So
it's normal. It's become normalized.
So how do we get to there?
Right.
Well, it's an unaddressed problem.
And how do you peel that back, right? How do you not make that normal anymore? That's my concern. That's where I'm coming from. I'm concerned about the future of this country, and I'm concerned where what world my kids are going to be living in. And when you have shit like this that's just allowed to occur, you got to look around and question, be like, where are we going? And then how do you protect your kid to live in a society like this where there are no laws or no accountability for criminal illegal aliens, but there'll be accountability for you, white male American citizen. It just blows my mind, dude. And it frustrates me to the umpteenth degree. And yet there's a decent amount of people in this country that agree with that type of philosophy. And my wife and me were talking last night. She finally hit her breaking point, which I was so happy to hear. She has had it with liberals not being able to make the connection to what's happening in our society and what they support. She's like, I don't understand it. How do they not understand what they want and what they're getting, and they don't see it's what they actually are fighting for, and they don't think it's an issue? Like, my wife has had it. Like, she got lost. She got lost on Facebook and LinkedIn last night for like an hour, and she was ready to go when we were talking last night. And it was so refreshing to hear from her, because she doesn't really like to talk a lot of politics with me, because I go off the deep end and I go down the rabbit holes, and so I can understand her. But it was so refreshing hearing her just cut loose last night. And literally, buddy, in the conversation, I'm just like, yeah, that's right. Because she's finally getting it. She's seen it all. She's saying it all. And she's like, stop that. How come, right? Because I'm like, yep, you got it now. You got it. So we need more of that. We need more people having these conversations, but we need that other side to really wake up, because if they don't, this side is just going to keep rolling over on us. Because I'll be honest, our side, the ones that we need to do the work on the legislative side, they're a bunch of bitches. They don't give a shit about you or me. As long as they keep getting the cash coming into their pockets, they get their retirement, they get to say and do whatever they want, and they get to be disconnected from us when shit really hits the fan. So I really want to blow up the GOP. The GOP is just disgusting. They have done nothing for us. And my frustration is with those traitors on the inside that have allowed this takeover of our country, where we have to fight every day, dude. Like, can you picture a day, Tommy, where you don't have to fight in your near future?
Well, it's already been that way for the entire length of the podcast. Your wife will get even angrier when she starts to realize that they do see some of them are stupid, but
yes,
that's a percentage. I'm not gonna give them the easy at that. Well, libs are stupid. No, in the same way that, no whole group of people is stupid. It's actually much worse. They do know that it's causing it. They either believe that if they just keep doing it, it'll get better, or, and that's where you always have kind of James O'Keefe, you get them, or they truly do. They see it and they hate America. They think America needs to be taken down a peg. So those people, they see it and they know it and they like it because the white man, there's less of us. Or they're looking at it and they're like, well, if they just have a little more equity, just a little more equality, which is almost stupid, because true stupidity would be not seeing A to B.
Right.
And a small percentage are like that, but that's everywhere and everything ever. I think a lot of them see it and they think, if we just paper it over a little more, just give one more chance, one more extra credit assignment. But there's no end to that. They're going to keep trying. They're going to keep rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic. And then the worst is a decent percentage, and you'll see it every once in a while. You'll see it in elected officials too, that they know that it is, and they don't care. This is revenge for imperialism. This is revenge for slavery. This is revenge for... They know it's happening. So then eventually it hits a point of, well, then how does it end? It's the airbag goes off or it doesn't, but the car is sliding, the brakes aren't working anymore, and we're going at a wall. And then you have a lot of parents who are like, well, regardless if the government steps in, my red line is my house, my wife, my kids, and people will just start shooting. And
yes,
hope would be that we don't let it get to that point.
Well, I don't think they're going to let it get to that point, because they're going to come for your house. So you're not going to be able to have your house. Did you hear what they're looking to do in New York City under Mamdani?
Oh, isn't it something? What is it? Yeah, higher taxes for
The death tax.
people for. Oh,
The death tax they're looking to really hit New York City with. Damon, can you put up A5 real quick? But New York City Mayor Socialist Comrade Mamdani has proposed lowering the exemption on the death tax, estate tax, from 7.1 million down to only 750,000, brother. He would also increase the death tax from 16% to 50%. No other jurisdiction in the USA confiscates wealth at death from people with that small of an estate. Anyone with an equity in a home in New York City would likely exceed the $750,000 and have to pay the death tax. All true. There is a federal estate tax death for estate wealth that exceeds $15 million individuals. However, you can deduct other state and city estate taxes before paying the federal estate tax. So effectively, Mamdani is preventing the federal government from taxing estates. New York City and New York State are taking it all first. Damon, if you keep scrolling, you're going to see a graphic under there. That graphic gives you the breakdown. And then at the real bottom of it, if we can get it, there you go, where the arrow goes. I believe they're looking to generate around $4 billion in revenue from this. So basically what Mamdani's looking to do is he's looking to hit the middle-class retards that voted him in New York City, and he's looking to take their actual one chance of getting wealth from their families, and he's hijacking it from them. And these morons in New York City have no idea. So I know people in New York, family friends, well, friends. We don't really talk a whole lot anymore because of COVID and fucking politics and all this other bullshit. But his family has a house in Queens, okay, on the service road of the Grand Central Parkway. It's going to be over $1 million. His family bought it, I believe, in the late 70s, early 80s. They worked their whole life to pay it off. He is always railed as him and me got along for a long time. Really good friends. Was in my first wedding. Really good friends, but he's a leftist, and our friendship couldn't sustain it anymore. It couldn't sustain it anymore. But he is all about communism, all this. He's going to get screwed because his house that he's going to inherit from his family, that would probably be around, I would say, 1.5 to 2 mil. The city's going to come and take half of that off the top from him. So the political party and the people that he wanted to come into power because he believed he would benefit from them is now going to boomerang in his face and take 50% of the multi-million-dollar house that he's going to inherit from his parents when they pass. That's how communism works. And that's going to happen to pretty much everyone in the New York City area. All 5 boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, Manhattan, definitely. But like houses, you're not finding anything cheaper than $750 in the 5 boroughs. No way. And the city's ready there, pay me. And that's what they're going to do. And then all these little 20-something-year-olds that are in college or just finishing high school, starting their, life isn't fair, whoa, 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 I want. But mommy and daddy have a house. That's your nest egg. And then when mommy and daddy pass, that nest egg is going to get left to you and your family. So you'll have some money there. But now what you wanted is now going to come take that from you. How do you think that's going to make them feel?
It's what we talked about earlier. It's the flooding. It's it's the unaddressed things. It's going to. Some are going to be smart enough to see it, and they're going to try to, liquidate their assets beforehand. Some are going to see it and think it doesn't belong. It's not going to affect them. Some will see it and they'll know it's going to affect them, but they're still true believers.
Yep.
And then some at the highest level would go, yeah, I don't really care because I've got multiple assets and that's one of my pieces of property. And those are the big fish. Those are I'll let them take 50% because I'm a billionaire. I've got assets in the city. I'm going to buy up this shit because I helped put this guy in office. That's the highest level.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's the ship is listing. And until you address what's happening, it's going to keep going. Yeah. People are going to leave.
You need this money to cover the expenses that your policies have continuously put a priority over the American people.
So more and more people are going to leave.
Yep. Keep
They're going
talking,
to be
buddy.
priced out, and the
Yep.
prices are going to go down. And
Yep.
guess who's going to keep buying it up? All the people stealing money from different countries, and they're not going to care because their whole thing is when you're using money to get out of a country. You know, it's like in the line in Goodfellas where we steal the liquor, and then we sell it at the back of the store for $10 a bottle. It doesn't matter if it's a $500 bottle of wine because we stole it. It's 100% profit. It doesn't matter. I'll sell you this TV for $30. I don't care. All of them, you're a steel tycoon from fucking Moldova. You don't care. You're trying to escape the death penalty and 100% seizure of your assets. If you get out with $400 million and you buy a couple townhouses, okay, and death tax, you're going to only get 200. That's 200 million of profit. They don't care. So that's going to keep accelerating.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going until, I don't know, I guess let's walk it all the way down the road. All of New York will be a ghost city. Maybe that's actually the ultimate level of peace. The entire thing will be a foreknown ghost city. No one will be there, and no one will be there to complain either, because every unit will be $1 billion, and no one will be there to complain. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I can speak to the part of buying these houses for cash. I have friends and family who live in Long Island. Some were trying to get houses a couple of years ago when they were just getting married, and they just constantly kept getting outbid by foreigners with cash. That's commonplace in Long Island, New York. There are foreigners that are just coming in with piles of cash and outbidding working class Americans that have lived in these communities for 30, 40 years, generations with families. They can't afford to buy the house because they're just getting outbid by cash. And that has to do with, illegal immigrants that came over. But a lot of this is actually the legal immigrants we brought over through the visa programs. They came over with cash in hand and just throwing it down. Oh, this is 700,000 right here. Here's 1.2 mil cash. No one turns that down. And I've known that happen to a friend of the family 2 different times, where they had an offer in and it came in over. Someone else, outside buyer, came in with cash, and just boom. So yeah, that's going to happen in New York. That's going to happen in pretty much all major cities. It's going on. Yeah. And then us, you have a pile of cash anywhere, Tommy? I don't got a pile of cash.
Not that I know of.
Right? So like we're stuck with what we got, and then the government continuously taxes us, charges us fees, take every little bit they could possibly get from us, a little bit extra, where we can't move ahead. We can't jump up that next rung on the ladder. So yeah, it's the everyday battle for Americans, dude, and it sucks. So how do you fight back?
So in the beginning, we talked about kind of the crime microcosm butterfly effect.
Yeah.
You're saying this butterfly, what's really sure, it's a huge thing, but let's just say you're zoomed out and you're like, okay, whatever, 7 million to 750,000. But this spirals out into what we just talked about. So that's another microcosm. So even the microcosms themselves are like different storms.
Yeah.
And then you have the immigration one where you have, I have 2 friends, one from Kosovo, Prince, and then one from Bulgaria, Ivan, and they both eventually got their green cards after like 7-8 years. Both great Americans, tax paying here legally, education, jobs. They are a net plus. You have people like them that are like, yeah, I have a lot of friends that are, they want to be American as much as me, but they're looking at it, they're like, it's going to take 10 years versus if you can be a literal, heroin dealer, rapist, and just walk over the southern border and get a phone. A lot of them are like, fuck that. I'm not even going to try. So you have all these different, and then that you can spiral that out and you can walk that, 10 steps down the road into where does that go? You have all these different kind of storms of unaddressed crime, unaddressed, property pillaging, unaddressed immigration, all, foreign aid. You have all this shit. It brings us to this point of we're sliding. The brakes are no longer an option. It says the airbag going to deploy. And I think that's where we are. I think all of this kind of leads back up. These are all little streams trickling into the ocean. And so you and I are addressing like, well, what about this? What about that? There are all these rivers coming down valleys and hills and mountains, and we're looking at the ocean. And it's like, well, this is where it all comes. And we're past the point of like, let's divert this stream or let's try to dam this up. That was a possibility for 50 years. There's no longer a possibility. And so now it's categorically different. With those, you'd be like, let's divert this stream, or let's build a little dam, or let's dig a a pressure release. Once you get to the point of ocean, none of those things apply. Not even scaled up. It's not like, well, let's build a bigger dam. It's completely different. Now it's like, do you have a boat? Like it is entirely different. It is, and so how do you deal with these things? How do you deal with, unchecked immigration? How do you deal with unchecked crime? How do you deal with just foreign nationals buying up land and, Mamdani just raping people's wealth? All those things, there are these little things along the roads that you could be like, well, you need to address that crime, or you need to maybe put protections on foreign investment. Now you're at the point where the answer is now completely unrecognizable. How do we deal with this stream? You build a boat. It's like, what? The response now is like, use the military to seize the federal government, like block off borders and, and start doing military tribunals. And it's like, huh? But it's we're at that point. We're at that point where you didn't get the little cut on your toe checked out. And so now it's 3 weeks later and you're kind of going, how did I get to the point where the surgeons are amputating my leg? And it's like, well, it was a long road of negligence. And so all my answer, kind of everything you're saying, is we're at the point where it's like you can no longer plug up the hole in the bottom of the cruise ship. It has gotten so bad and has broken so many walls and compartments that it's categorically different. You now need to abandon ship. You now need to be rescued by the Coast Guard or a helicopter. That's where we are. We're so far down the road that things that you could have used early on, the cut leg, put Neosporin on it, wipe it with ethanol, take penicillin. We're now at the point where it's like none of that matters.
The affection's
the doctor's
in the bone.
Cutting your leg off.
Yep, the affection's in the bone. Take the leg off. Otherwise,
so the point is,
unless you die.
Yeah. So the point is you get to a point where all of the little things along the road, it's not even that you can use them and just scale it up. Well, a bigger Band-Aid. It's like no, we're so far past that. What started as the cut on your toe is now like we're removing the leg, and do you have a will in case it doesn't work? Like, you're like, what? But that's where we are. So,
Yeah, man. And you're right. Willful ignorance, not addressing problems for so long, right? The go along to get along mentality. We don't want to be enemies. We want to be friends. We still work here. We still kind of do the same thing together. I advocate for my people here. You advocate, but right? All that shit's gone.
As General Holt, who I had on yesterday, always says though, and he is, he's deeply Christian, as am I, as I believe you are, is there's a silver lining. Is now it can't be ignored. And there is a simplicity to ignoring is no longer an option. Kicking the can down the road is no. When you're procrastinating in high school and you got a test, it's in a week. I'll study tomorrow. Okay, I'll study tomorrow. There is a clarity that comes to the last night. There's terror, but there's also a clarity of I can no longer play on my phone. I need to read this book or I'm going to fail this exam and my dad is going to kick my ass if I get an F and, lose whatever state tuition. There is a clarity in that we now have to deal with it and we now have to win. There are no more. We're at the point of you got to jump off the ship. And there's a piece in that. And you could say like, well, that's kind of a shitty piece. Agreed. But this is where we are. We can't wish to not be here. No, we're here. And so I do believe there's a clarity and a peace in going, there are no more Band-Aids, no more kicking the can down the road. We now have to address it. And, it's what it is. I wish we weren't here, but we are. So it's just, let's stop wishing and deal with it.
And you can't put your head in the sand. You can't bury and pretend like none of this is happening.
It's politics. And you could do that. You could have done that in the 70s and be like, I still got my job. In the 80s, it's just a bank bailout. 90s, it's just, whatever. It's just corruption. 2000s, it's, war on terror, civil liberties. It's 2010 bank bailouts. It's all right. It's just riots. It's just a bioweapon. You're at a point where it's like, hey, man, it's here. You're in your cabin going, it's a big ship. And someone's going, I think is the floor damp? the ship's been flooding for several days now. Like, I don't know.
Like I was on the phone with a friend of mine last weekend. Actually, two of them. So there was three of us on a call from, I don't know, it was about a 2.5 hour phone call. It was late. It was a late Saturday night call. But one of them I haven't spoken to in a little bit. No, life's crazy, this, that, and the other thing. But we were talking, and he's talking about it. He works for TSA. He has about 6 years left for retirement, has a good nest egg for retirement. And then he started asking me about my life, where am I at with my lawsuit, retirement, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, how do I phrase this? I basically asked, I don't want to use his name either, but I basically asked him, like, you're cool with you just being done in 6 years, retirement, and you're just done? And he goes, yeah. And I'm talking to him. He has 3 kids. And his main concern is, give me my paycheck, give me my pension, and my kids are basically going to be on their own when I'm dead. So his mentality is he doesn't care what's happening right now as long as he keeps getting his paycheck and his pension. And I was going through the roof. I wasn't yelling him on the phone, but I was internally going through the roof because I'm like, you mother, like, do you understand what you're saying?
They do.
Do you know how selfish that sounds? Do you not give a shit what your kids could possibly be left with after you're gone? You don't give a shit that they'll have targets on their back because they're white Italians? And
there's only 3 options, and they're all bad. He's too stupid to understand it, in which case he can't. He sees it, and okay, that's the option 1 is you're too stupid.
Nope.
The second option is you see it and you go, well, I already did my part. And the third is they actively enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying he enjoys it. That's kind of more communist subversion. He probably knows he's not. It sounds like he's not a stupid guy. He understands it. Well, then call what it is. It's cowardice at best, apathy at worst. What I would say to you, as your armchair psychologist, don't waste your limited energy on that. Write it off. He's accepted that. Focus your energy on things that can find those that care and help them.
So I'm good at that, but I will fire my shots first. I will go no holds barred, full-fledged, full conversation with you. And then after I'm done with that, and I leave that conversation believing that no matter what I said, nothing got through, then I'm done. So I
cauterize it, amputate,
Yep, I'm done.
No, sure, no, make it,
And like, why? And I felt like it was my obligation to convince him to want to leave his kids in a better place, in a better position of society, in a better country than he actually cares.
By the time
and at that point, and why do I care?
At this point, why are you being a father? Why are you convincing a father to be a father?
Exactly. And that's when I just kind of gave up on that facet
of the
conversation.
You spoke.
Yes.
You said it, right? You do. I take it back. You're right. You do have to say it. You do have to go.
I have to give it a shot, don't I? You got to give it a shot.
But at the same time,
I've known the guy for 20 years. It ain't like a stranger on the street. I've known him for 20 years.
No, you do have to say something. You can't do nothing. But you also have to understand, not write something off as a lost cause, because it's zero sum. You can't simply go, that's a lost cause. It's every ounce of energy you give to them is an ounce of energy that you are not giving to your wife, not giving to your kids, and not giving to Untamed, not giving to blah 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 blah. So it is zero sum. It's not that. How can you disregard? It's the same counter argument to like, you're against immigrants. It's like, no, I'm against pulling opportunity away from the people that have lived here for 10 generations. Nope. I'm sure some people are. I'm sure there are some sick, twisted fucks on the right, just as there are on the left, that do look at this and they're like, I'm happy the immigrants are dying. Okay, screw them. That's a bad person. I don't find any joy or happiness in seeing, oh, there's a pregnant woman at the southern border. No part of me is like, ha, 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 ha.
Right.
I'm a human. I get it. But I also know that unchecked empathy is how we got here.
Yes.
So,
yes,
do your thing, right? But no one I know is like, I'm just happy immigrants are suffering. No, they're like, hey man, how come the guy that just served 4 tours in Iraq, how come he can't afford a knee operation, but they can? That's what it is. It's not hatred towards them. It's going, no, somebody gets it, so I want it to be my guy.
Correct.
And I forget it's not my show.
No, but you're right, dude. You're 100% right. And just that conversation really stuck with me over the past week or so, and just thinking like how many other people feel the same way that are on our side, that are Republicans, that lean right, that believe in the right, supporting the right causes anyway, at least principle. Like how many more people feel that way? And then when you have that type of belief and mentality, like you're on our side and we're constantly under attack and you're not willing to fight for us, like shit, it just makes the job that much harder to try and steer the ship the right way. And that's where my frustration comes from, because I know what's coming down the pike. I've seen it. I've stared down the barrel of the gun from it. You know it. Joe knows it. Like they play to win. They will play to end your life. They will play to end your career. They will cut you off, and they don't give a shit if you're sleeping on the street. I care.
Worse, they want you on the street.
Yeah, I care, and I don't want my kid to live that way when he's 20, 30, 40. Whenever I'm off this planet and he's on his own, I want to make sure I did my everything to make sure he is protected, insulated, and ready to kick the shit out of anything that comes for him. And I'm pissed that I know someone that is not doing this. And it's pissing me off now that I'm thinking about it even more. How many people and how many losers on our side think like this? And this is why we're in the position we're in, because there's gutless cowards on the other side that won't put their foot in and go, oh, I'm too tired. I don't care. I get my paycheck. I get my benefits. Piece of lazy shit. What about the people that dug in before you were here? How about the generation before that? Your father, your grandfather, what they put on the line. The greatest generation ever from the 30s and 40s, what they did to make sure we had a footing in today's society. And now we have people here in America say, oh, I'm just happy I get my check and my benefits. Screw you. Like, screw you. Get your ass off the couch, stop being a lazy shit, and get your ass in this goddamn fight. Because if you're not going to be in this fight, we're all going to get smoked. And that includes your kids. And if that doesn't wake you up, you're a piece of shit, lazy parent. Because the greatest gift ever given to me was my kid. And I'm going to give everything to that boy. And if that means them coming after me, so freaking be it. But I refuse to let this country go down the shitter that it's going in when you get these leftist communist assholes that are just pushing their own freaking agenda down our throats and then victimizing and blaming us that we're the ones that are the problems here when we're 33% of the population, but yet we're the ones that are causing all this bullshit. Bullshit. And I'm tired of hearing the lazy ass Republicans on our side that are just like, I get my paycheck, I'm all good. I don't care. Sorry, dude. It just pisses me off to no end. Especially he knows what happened to me and my livelihood and my family and all that other shit. It's a fight that we all need to be in, especially if you know someone that's been impacted by it.
Yeah, man, they're cancer. They know what it is. It's your anger is warranted, but I would say not well placed. I would say, hey, take it from me. Right? I've done the podcast 6+ years. For a long, long time, I was like, people just don't know what's wrong with this vaccine. And if I can get these doctors who have, a lot of them are, Dr. Aditi Bhargava from UCSF. She was on the Biden campaign. So I even went out to be like, well, maybe people are just going to turn away Republican doctors. So I went and purposely got liberal doctors, hoping that like, hey guys, this is kind of this is a bipartisan thing. And, she came on, she was talking about blood clots and all that stuff. What eventually dawned on me, and it took several hundred of these interviews for me to realize what you're realizing with your friend. Oh, there are some people that I helped, and they reached out to me and told me, hey, I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. Cool. A lot of them knew it, and they just don't care. And then I went through what you're going through. I went through like 6 months, maybe a year of episodes where I was just so angry. I'm like, there are babies having heart attacks, and and I'm having on the doctors, and it's straight up like they're bringing x-ray scans. Like this isn't anecdotal. I'm having on like cardiothoracic surgeons. I'm having on neurosurgeons. I'm having on pathologists from Harvard, Stanford, Dartmouth. All this literally left and right, like Republican guys and left-leaning people that were on the Biden campaign, that and not just random doctors, like they have the highest levels of credentials. Many of them held patents on mRNA vaccines. And I, like you're saying, we do have to say something. You can't say nothing, right? So I did my thing. I said my something. But after, God knows how many of these episodes, I finally realized that I did help some people, a decent amount of people, and I'm very proud of that. a lot of people know they're not stupid. They know exactly what I'm showing them, and they just don't. They go, it's the vaccine. What am I going to do against the government? And I'm like, and I would always say this. I'm like, I'm not asking you to pick up a rifle. I'm asking you to just share this. YouTube kicked me off. I'm on Rumble. Hey, you can share this. You could still like some websites auto block Rumble links, but I'm like, you could still post a Rumble link on Facebook. I'm like, just do that. And they're like, yeah, but then I'm going to look like an anti-vaxxer. I'm like, here's an episode showing babies having a heart attacks. Like, I'm asking you, I'm trying to meet you halfway. I'm not telling you that you got to support Trump. I'm not telling you that, you can't be LGBTQ. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not trying to fight you on climate change. I'm saying there are babies having heart attacks. And I feel like this is maybe something that we can all link hands on and go, babies, heart attacks, no good.
Right.
No. A lot of it just came down to cowardice. And I'm like, but you, and I'm not going to name, but dude, I know 3 people from my graduating class of high school. I graduated high school in 2009. I'm 36 this summer. 3 people in December alone, all healthy, all athletic, dead from heart attacks, and their parents buried them. Those are real things. Those are not just a story on the side. That's a real thing. And it's been less than a year, and they're coming up on the first summer without their child. This winter will be the first Christmas without their child. And it's like, so my point is I did that, right? It's not some like abstract thing where I'm screaming about save the whales and it's like, yeah, dude, shut up, like whatever. It's like as black and white as it gets. Babies, heart attacks, no good. And I would even tell people, like, you can hate Trump. I don't care. Can we all agree on this? And a lot of them saw it, and they didn't. Because of cowardice. Not because they're stupid, but because of cowardice. And even now, I sporadically get something from a friend like, hey, don't say anything because, I don't want to be like, but, I remember so-and-so and so-and-so. And it turns out it was a huge blood clot. And, you were right, man. And I'm always like, hey, I'm happy, whatever, helps somebody. But my point is so as you go down all these just layers of this and then that and then that and then that and then that, and you're like, why isn't this happening? It's the anger. You do eventually hit a point, and this is what I'm saying to you, and I'm not saying it in criticism, I'm saying it in hopefully the form of it advising, if I could be so cocky. You have a limited amount of patience and energy, and what you do need to do is help those that want to be helped. So when I would lose my shit, although I was having, like when you were just young, I was doing that 3 times a show, 3 shows a day, and it was draining me from other things. Where then I would get an email about, hey, Tom, you should interview this doctor, and they're talking about this. And I would be so tired, and so I'd be like, no, I don't. And so now it was actually negatively affecting my ability to help the fight. I was like, I'm not doing that show today. I don't want to do this. And what I realized is I had to narrow my sights. I had to stop trying to put out every fire at every time. And I went, there are a lot of people and they're cowards, and it angers me to no end. But by letting that into my mind, I am no longer aiding in the fight that I should be aiding. And once I stopped doing that, and once I stopped trying to convince those that didn't want to be convinced, it did, you have a limited amount of battery. And it's like, okay, I have more battery to now do. Oh, it's 5 p.m. I'm tired. I just did 3 shows, but Dr. McCullough just texted me and said, you should interview this doctor right now. Okay, sure. Yeah, I can do it. And every once in a while, it still swells up in you. And even I did these interviews in 2020 and 2021. It's been 5 years. Even this past winter when that stuff happened, I exploded. I want, people are like, it's so sad. It's so tragic. And I want to be like, you motherfucker, this is, what do you think this is? You know what this is. But I was like, it doesn't matter. They don't want to be. And you have to reel it back in. You have to focus on the things that you can focus on. So I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to like judge your anger. I'm telling you as somebody that you can go back and look at the episodes. You can find the video. You don't trust me. You can go find the videos of me, my Irish face getting red. They motherfucker like you, and I'm with you. You have to understand that they don't want to be helped. That's between them and God. That's between them and their soul. That's a pathetic, cowardly life. That alone is punishment. Screw them. And they can't be. It's not World War I where you say not one step back, and if you do retreat, we're going to shoot you. That is a great option. And if that was an option, I'd say be angry. Right. But that's not an option. So instead of getting angry at the people retreating, fuck them. You can be angry at them when the war's over, and you can write about it until you're an old man. But right now, the bullets are still flying, and you do have guys to your left and right that are still in the fight. And if you focus on the people quitting, you're not helping your guys to your left and your right. So forget them. Help your homies that are still in the fight.
And
not that you asked for any of that advice, but
speaking of homies that are still in the fight, did you look at today's rundown? Because you've been on point where we were going today.
No,
I doubt it. I know you don't look at anything, man.
Did I address something?
Dude, you played us right into Mamdani in New York. You're playing us right into how we combat this shit. Right?
Or I do look at it all. I do look at it all, and I never let you know.
Yeah,
no, I didn't.
Maybe, but you're doing a great job. You're gonna have me guessing, because we have a father in Maine that is suing his kid's high school and high school district because there's no Pledge of Allegiance at the school. Tommy, play this cut, Damon B1.
Right. Now not every student has to participate, of course, but under the law and the Falmouth District's own policy, the schools must provide an opportunity to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. But according to the lawsuit, this family claims that Falmouth High School no longer provides that opportunity.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
The Pledge of Allegiance is often recited at the start of the school day, civic meeting, or veteran assembly. Falmouth Elementary School recites the pledge on school days. So does Falmouth Middle School. But according to a lawsuit filed by Christopher Hickey on behalf of his 10th grade son, the high school no longer provides an opportunity to recite the pledge. The family declined to speak with us, but his son's sworn affidavit says the school has never provided an opportunity for me or my classmates to recite the Pledge of Allegiance during the school day. Mr. Hickey's suit alleges his son and other students are being deprived of engaging in this patriotic exercise, affecting their civic education. Local Army veterans we spoke with agree.
Our students don't get enough citizenship instruction, and that's the least they can do, I think. It represents so much to not only veterans, but the entire community in our country, and so I don't see any bad in it, only good.
I think you should always do the Pledge of Allegiance in the high school. It's what makes America, America. It's part of being pride in our country.
So, Tommy, aren't you in Maine?
I am.
Do you know that high school?
No. I recognize Falmouth. I recognize the name.
Okay. So yeah, buddy. This is a common thing throughout all schools, mainly the secondary schools in America. Like the schools I've worked at, one school did not do the Pledge of Allegiance, and the other one did do the Pledge of Allegiance, but it was kind of, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, go about your day. So you had chaos, people walking in the halls, and there was no point of trying to make everyone stop and just take that 45 seconds to reflect that you are in the greatest country in the world. But it's a war that goes on within the school system. It's purposely being done because if you start making people recite the Pledge of Allegiance, that's actually harmful, Tommy. Did you know that? Did you know saying the Pledge of Allegiance is harmful?
Again, I look at this back to the whole, we're at the base of the mountain looking at all the rivers from all the mountains hitting the ocean. I kind of take this as just, we're pointing to another river. And it's important to look at. I'm not saying it's not. But this is like how the entire conversation you and I have had today. I look at this as we're looking at different rivers. The first rivers we're talking about, not, the sheriff saying that this guy is too violent. The next rivers being, the estate or the death tax and foreign investment. The next is, people putting their heads in the sand and now we're looking at, Pledge of Allegiance and not respecting and not even, although I'm with you, it is the greatest nation, is just in general loving your nation. Doesn't matter where you are. Like just loving your nation.
Patriotism. You would expect that from someone from Canada to love their country.
Because if it doesn't, then that is another symptom. And I'm not saying that you have to buy into blind national. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is when you don't, this is just another river. So you and I are standing at the base of these mountains and you got a laser pointer and you're pointing at that river and that river and that river. And my answer to all of them is the same. They're all rivers. And once you see them as these are all symptoms of the same thing. And it's degradation of the country. And done not done organically. Maybe there's some organically, right? Some people are just naturally lazy. They're not trying to sabotage their family. They're just naturally lazy pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And then there's active degradation, right? We know Marxist subversion. It's what you do. It's part of warfare. But then you have the people here that are not fighting back. So these are all different things of like, there's a river and that one was formed by rain, and there's a river and that one's actually man-made. There's a water, they have a pipe, it's piping it in. And we can look at all these different rivers. We can say whether it's organic or not, whether it's man-made or not. But eventually comes down to, what are we going to do about it? And we had all these points where we could have stopped it, and we now can't. So we're now at this point of now, how are we going to deal with the big body of water that we're in? And so I look at all of this as just another leaf on the same tree. It's degradation of the country. It's degradation of the things you love. It's degradation of priority of people who are here first. I saw a great quote. What was it? Not segregation. It was I think prejudice, bias. That is the very basis of our world. It's you're not granted the right to reproduce. That's Darwinian selection. Like you that is the very basis of our world. To me, these are all symptoms, organic or man-made, of the degradation of this plot of land that we call our home, and then the unwillingness to fight by a section of the people here who are not actively aiding in its degradation. So, Pledge of Allegiance, or the price of a penthouse in Manhattan, or the street you mentioned in Colorado with the boarded up, it's all the same thing. It's all, if you don't address it, it gets worse. And that's why I'm so big on, like, I do the podcast from my apartment. I never meet any of you, but I still take a shower. I still put on deodorant. I still put on clean clothes. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a camera. Well, you can't tell if I smell like shit, but I still put on cologne.
But for your benefit, your hygiene, gotta keep the butt clean.
Even this, you see a tiny little square, but I make sure every day before I do the show, everything is clean in the apartment. Put my shoes away. Make sure the dishes are away. I treat it as if the entire thing is the product. And if you don't do that to the country at large, that is how these little things, these seemingly little things of, he's here illegally, but whatever. That's how it leads to 3 El Salvadorian illegal immigrants who have evaded federal capture and now throwing Molotovs at people. And you're like, what the fuck? Is that an Onion article? No, it's just another part of the news. So that's what it is to me, is we have failed, consciously failed too. Stupidity and ignorance is not an argument. You have consciously failed to upkeep our apartment that is America. And actually we'll say home because apartment implies that we're renting. No, it's ours. But we have failed to do it. Which then comes all the way down to, where are we now? And you and I have both shown our anger. We can bitch about the people we can bitch about the roommates that aren't helping us. You can say, but don't you understand that your parents, they gave us this apartment, and their dad's dad gave us this apartment, and blah, blah, blah. And eventually you go, hey, screw them. They're pieces of shit. They're not going to help us. All right. We're going to clean what we can clean. We can look at the dishes and say, this is disgusting. We can both agree that it's disgusting. But at a certain point we go, all right, man, whatever. Turn on a podcast and let's get it. I'll start cleaning. You start scrub. Oh, I'm gagging. Whatever, man. We just got to clean this shit. All right. And I'll mop. I hate mopping. Me too. But we just got to do it. And at a certain point, you just accept that this is where it is. And we have to deal with it right now. And once we deal with it, then we can go back and reprimand everyone that didn't help us. We can teach our kids that this is what happens when you don't deal with it. But right now, we have to deal with it. And so that's kind of where I look at it is, it sucks. But all these rivers are flowing, and I've got this raft. And I'm so angry that this guy right next to me doesn't want to help me build the raft. And I can burn all of my energy screaming at him, or I can turn to Pat and go, Pat, you understand the importance of the raft? You got it. I get the raft, and I go, good, help me tie the raft together. And that's kind of where we are right now, is I get everything. We got to focus on what is right in front of us. We got to deal with this. So, sorry for my rambling.
All good. All good. All fair points. All fair points. And you're right. We have to rectify this shit. But you need individuals also, like this father launching a lawsuit in Maine to sue the district to make sure this happens.
Absolutely. No,
Like
that guy's awesome. That guy's
that's
awesome.
what needs to be done.
Yes, and even on the that's the importance is we can sure hope that Trump uses the military to seize power and stop all this shit, God willing. But ultimately, we have to start doing it in our own little microcosm. I mean, you might go, so we're talking about foreign nationals buying trillions of dollars of real estate around B-2 stealth bombers, and you're saying the way to fight it is to fight against the lack of the Pledge of Allegiance? Yes, I am. Because to me, that is the putting the dishes away, putting on clean socks. That's where it starts.
Every battle
spiraled
needs to get
out.
fought. Every battle needs to get fought.
It's spiraled out from just a little leak in the basement to now the ship's flooding. Fighting it also starts on that smallest of levels. Well, here's a cup and let's start dumping the water out. That's how you're going to fight it? Yes, because this is how it started. So, yeah, no, I think that guy's awesome. He is fighting the fight.
Check out this Pennsylvania school bus driver then. Let's go with B2, Damon. He's fighting a good fight now, too.
And she contacts me and says, hey, listen, I'm going to buy you a hat, an American flag hat, because the school district has deemed that they don't want you to wear the Make America Great Again hat.
Dave Bonhoff, a retired Baltimore County police officer turned Littlestown area school bus driver, says he chose to walk away before afternoon drop-off, claiming the district and Christ Transportation violated his freedom of speech.
There's nothing in this hat that says anything about partisanship.
What do you say to people who may argue that the hat is pretty synonymous with President Donald Trump, a political figure?
I would say that they're incorrect. I would say that making America great is what we should all strive to be. Anybody who doesn't want America to prosper, I take issue with them.
Al Moyer, Littlestown area's superintendent of schools, clarified over the phone that Bonhoff was an employee of Christ Transportation, not the district, but that it was the district's belief that, quote, school districts need to be neutral on sensitive issues. In a statement, Christ Transportation denied giving Bonhoff any ultimatums over the hat, but says it does have a dress code policy, which says, quote, any item of apparel with text or graphics deemed inappropriate by management, including political sentiments, are prohibited.
I want to be able to express myself. I don't want somebody to tell me, well, my feelings are hurt. You got to take that hat off.
So yeah, buddy, can't wear a MAGA hat, but you could have anti-ICE protests, talk how awful this country is, right? It's just the indoctrination of the school system, and then they purge any pro-American force that's in their way. It is just straight, just get out of my way. I hope this guy files a civil rights lawsuit. I really do. But I don't know if he is or not. That was just the clip I saw this morning. But I'm not surprised. Any teachers that wear Republican-leaning, ICE-supporting, you're considered harmful and hurtful to students because you have immigrant students that go to school there, so they don't feel safe around you. And I know this because that's exactly what student district leadership has told teachers, at least in Cherry Creek School District, they have said this. That's why they don't like having pro-America, Trump stuff. No, because it's harmful to other students. Even though other students can wear all this other type of stuff and be harmful towards young conservative students. Like how many kids have ICE agents as parents that had to sit through schools that were organizing anti-ICE march outs and demonizing their parents doing their jobs? But that's okay. Those feelings can get hurt. Those kids can get trampled on. It's a one-way street here in America, and our side's got to start playing the game hard.
Well, and yeah, I was going to say, this is where I'm on much more shaky ground in terms of like my confidence in making, just purely from like a legal standpoint. I have no idea, like maybe the law might really be you can't wear something that is a direct slogan from a political campaign. I have no idea. But you're right, even if that was the law, it's completely nullified by the fact that you're having these school orchestrated anti-ICE protests. You could then argue then that is a direct, right? Because if he was wearing a hat that said, I don't know, like Trump 2024, you could maybe make an argument that is a direct, campaigning, you're a public employee, and technically you could, all right. But the fact that you now have these anti-ICE things that are openly for that, that's not explicitly Kamala 2024, but it's pretty clearly an oppositional to the current administration. Again, I don't know anything about law. I would say that nullifies this guy's inability to wear something that even remotely is pro the other way. I don't know. That's what I would imagine a lawyer would say. I don't know that, and so I can't give it like a full-throated argument. Now, I can tell you that ultimately, fuck it all. I don't care. Like he just said, they are playing to win, and we do too. So screw them. I don't even care. I don't even care if the law says that you can't wear it. I think just wear it anyway, because we're at a point where it's like this is how we've gotten here. But I don't know that well enough to make a confident argument. And if I try to make a confident argument in something that I don't understand, that would directly take away from any credibility I have from arguments that I do understand. So
I could give you a confident argument here.
I know, so I'll just make a full admission. I don't understand. I'm much more willing to argue about, China buying farmland and, oil tycoons buying penthouses in Lower Manhattan, because I have a better grasp on that. I don't have a good grasp on this. So, yeah.
Fair. If you love America and you preach or wear anything that shows that this country is great, you are considered someone that can be harmful to a black, brown immigrant student. Long and short of it.
Yeah. Well, no, I would say I was talking about America. I never said what America. I was saying make America great before the white man came. So actually, I am arguing for the indigenous. So how dare you? I'm arguing for the Wampums and the Cherokees and the Abenakis. You fucking...
But yeah, but I'm telling you, but this is what they do, man. They purge the school system of pro-patriot people because they don't want that around kids. Because they want the kids to be indoctrinated and beat down to believe how awful this country is. And they don't care that they just made this guy retire, resign, get out of the way. You need this money?
Yeah.
No. And he's a veteran, he said too, right? Wasn't he a veteran?
Yeah, no. So him putting up the fight is what you need to do. No different than the Pledge of Allegiance guy. No different than that. You do have to fight back. You have to address every little leak or the ship will sink.
And I want to finish with this clip with you. This is going to be B5 Damon. This is just a service member. And then I want your comments on this, Tommy, and then we're going to play it out. Pray it out. Play it out. Pray it out. B5 Damon.
Hey, I don't know who need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people be talking shit about America. Hey, if you don't like America, go to another country, bitch. I love this country. I'll protect this bitch.
There you go.
Right? Isn't that the perfect way to end the show today? That clip right there?
That clip should replace the last 90 minutes of you and I talking. That's so much more applicable and so much more concise.
Well done in 15 seconds.
Yeah. That's it.
He's right.
That's it.
Stop bitching. Go somewhere else that's better. Has anyone ever named a nation that's better, by the way? Like with all the shit that they talk about us, have they actually named, hey, this is the gold standard that we should be?
The simplest argument is what direction do people run when the wall falls? If any country where there's a wall, if it's a great country, when the walls fall, people go, I'm coming in. If it's North Korea, if it's, East Berlin, East Germany, which way do you go? I'm getting out.
Yep, I'm gone.
That's it. That's it. So the very fact that you're here.
Yeah.
How come we don't hear this argument elsewhere? Because the people that say this shit are rounded up and shot in the head.
Yes, sir. And they get rid of you quick because they cannot spread this information out. You can't spread
that, you and I are going down the road of, don't these people, they know there's no place better. They hate this place. There's a great quote I saw, I'm going to butcher and I don't remember it, but it's communism is simply window dressing for what it has always been. The ugly and the hateful and the lazy, destroying and killing that which is beautiful, that which pulls itself up by its bootstraps, that which is grateful. That's all it is. You can dress it up in different...
That sounds pretty good. I hope you didn't... I don't.
That's all it is. It's fat, angry, ugly people who are trying to destroy people who aren't. Instead of saying, hey, can you teach me how to, clean up my car? It's people going, that guy has a clean car. Destroy it. Kill him.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's resentful.
Nice.
Hateful people, which honestly comes back to biblical. It's pride before the fall. That's it.
Well said, Tommy. And with that, would you mind praying us out today as a special guest?
Let's absolutely do it. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, thank you for having Pat and I together. And thank you for us having this discussion. And I hope that the gentleman with the hat, the gentleman with the Pledge of Allegiance, I hope people understand that it really does start with you and that that's not just a cliche, eye-rolling thing. It really does start with you. And although there are a lot of people that willingly and willfully are not fighting, there are also people who maybe don't have the courage, and by leading by example, some people are going to get that last little budge of courage. So be it, sharing a link or speaking up and saying, hey, I think this is wrong, that's not nothing. Some people do need that little boost. So Lord, if you could please give people the courage to do what they know is right and to move forward boldly with that, because ultimately that's what this does come down to, is you get to this point by not addressing little problems. We're going to get out of this point by addressing little problems. And hopefully, Lord, it is done peacefully and we can just one day look back at this as a weird time in America. And if anyone can make that happen, it is you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Nicely done, Tommy. Thank you very much for that.
And are you going to be grateful, Pat? Every time I talk to Pat, just tell him to be grateful.
I am grateful. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for my child. I am grateful to sit in this chair and be able to talk with you and share a message today. I'm grateful for the snow we got over the weekend because we're dry out here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I got
little
you.
Grateful things like that. That's the other thing, is it starts like that.
Yes, sir. You are correct. Thanks so much for hopping in, Tommy. Appreciate you, man.
Ayatollah Hogarty.
All right, everyone. Joe's in chair tomorrow. Class dismissed.
All right, Pat. Take it easy, brother.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Martin, Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. Rolling, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Kuma's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Governor, lead us bold and true. Governor, freedom forever, Colorado. Rise up, untamed. In the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through.